Welcome back to Media 7. Now, as all modern events must, it ended with a Twitter moment. Waiting quietly in the studio, Carol in the control room for the last time. Thus did John Campbell farewell his longtime media collaborator and latterly producer of Campbell Live, Carol Hirshfeld. She's embarked now on a new challenge as Director of Programming at Maori Television, and she's with me now to talk about where she's been, where she's at and where she's going. Carol, you broke up the band.
I did, but eventually we had to make that difficult choice of going solo and producing our own album. So I've gone off to do mine in a reo, so we'll see how we go.
But seriously, what was the chemistry that made that partnership work for so long with you and John? Because it clearly worked.
I think when you start on... I mean, I had no idea what it was going to be like to be in a tandem situation with a person. And though I'd worked with Ian Johnston on Crime Watch doing presentation, when you're working nightly with somebody, I didn't realise the level of trust you have to have with the person you're working alongside. With John and I, we didn't know that much about each other's backgrounds, and it wasn't until we were working together so closely we realised that we had very complementary skills. I'd been a current affairs producer for a number of years here at TVNZ, and John had worked as a parliamentary reporter and had been at 2020 as a reporter as well. So when we started to talk about our news sensibilities and ideas, we found that, in fact, we had a lot of complementary skills and values, basically.
You've been in news and current affairs long enough to have seen it change over the years.
25 years.
How's it changed? How's it changed since then?
It's changed enormously. I mean, there was no Google back in the day. There was, you know, we had one mobile phone that you had to sign out when you took it off station. I mean, those sort of technological changes. I basically started working in television when they had just moved to electronic news gathering. I did have a little splurge on film for a while when I worked on Fair Go and shot on film, and so enormous technological change in that sense. But and also when I came in to journalism, I was on one of 3 courses that were run in the country at that time. They were closely monitored by the industry itself, and they were very careful in regulating the number of people who were coming into the business. And certainly there was no focus on television journalism. In fact, virtually, the year I did my diploma after doing an English degree, I went and did a diploma at AUT. We were sort of told firmly, don't even think about television. You know, if you're lucky, you might get in.
Because it was not respected.
It was not respected. It was also seen as something that you may move into after you'd paid your dues in print or done some sort of broadcast experience in radio. But I think one of the biggest changes I see these days, certainly in my role as producing Campbell Live, is that there is a huge number of people coming out of these courses into public relations. There's been an explosion in that particular industry. So you see a lot of very keen as mustard PR graduates being involved in trying to control the news agenda. And that's difficult.
And I've heard it said that some of those students aren't fully aware of the difference between news and PR. Do you think that's fair?
I'm pretty sure that they don't see that there are certain commercial aspects that we would absolutely say no to within the news current affairs sphere. That's true.
With the new job, you're moving away from that head-to-head every weeknight, 7 p.m, you and the other guys. You know, it's a binary story of rivalry. Will you miss that, or is it quite nice to go to something that stands alone and does its own thing?
I feel like that Tom Petty song, Free Falling, every day. I mean, I'm used to a situation where you have a highly structured day in a sense, because at the end of it you're crashing towards a 6 o'clock, a 7 o'clock deadline. And you are also walking away knowing that this is the tangible results of your efforts, good or bad or indifferent. That's what you've done for the day and you can see it. The new job that I have is much more of a slow burn, and it is all about planning for a schedule way off in the future, you know, at least a year and perhaps 2 or 3 years. So that's kind of strange, and you know, it feels surreal right at the moment, and I haven't got out of the habits of checking the ratings exactly at 9:30 every single morning and emailing my colleagues at Campbell Live. But I've got to the point in my career where to have the opportunity to learn something completely new and moving into the programming culture is completely new. I didn't necessarily think of it that way, but 2.5 weeks into the new job, I am realising that I have crossed a river and into a different part of the country, that's for sure. And I think that the idea that you can learn new things this late in the job is fantastically exciting.
Now, you'll be as more aware than anyone that the eternal political question at Maori television is the tension between reaching a wider audience and facilitating te reo.
It's hugely difficult, there's no doubt about it.
Is it too early for you to have a view on that?
Well, I don't think these are mutually exclusive goals at all. And, you know, I do believe that one of the reasons why I've been hired into the role that I have been is because of the what I believe is immensely tough commercial experience that I've had. The 7 o'clock slot, I believe, is one of the hardest slots on television. So to be in that competitive situation night after night for a number of years, and I worked on this startup of homes, I understand that it can take a while before you can work out how to reach for that wider audience. What drew me to MTS is the vibrancy and commitment that I can see on screen, and now that I'm working in the building, I realise it's absolutely there in the people who are working there. And you know, in some ways it does remind me of when I joined TV3. It was 9 years old at that stage, but there is a great sense of, you know, we can give this a shot. We can try and do something different, and we've got to do it on a budget, and we've got to do it with a lot of heart. And so, you know, it's thrilling to have that feeling about one's workplace again.
So where do you think you'll be in a year's time? How long is it going to take to put your stamp on the organisation?
I hope. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be in a year's time in terms of, you know, that I can point at, well, that's something I put in place, because you know, I'm 2.5 weeks into the job. As I say, I've got a lot to learn. But I do believe that I will have made my own little mark in some way within that time frame. And, you know, I hope, even if it's in terms of helping those young producers, keen as mustard, working at MTS, to help them in terms of the way that they make their programs and give them the support they need from somebody who has been working in television for as long as I have.
Well, best of luck with it, and I'm sure we'll see you again here.
Thank you so much, Russell.
Now, road safety advertising is a fixture on television, but how has it changed, and how does it look in other places? Well, that's Sarah Daniels' Take 2 for this week.
Before you say you'll never get hurt, snap into that seatbelt habit. You know it makes sense.
Once upon a time, road safety ads looked like this. Innocence in black and white. No wailing, no method acting, no internal organs all over the road.
It's very likely that 400 of you will be injured in your cars tomorrow. And it's going to happen to a lot of you ladies.
Now TV is gridlocked with graphic ads. There's hectoring.
Richard didn't want to die, but he couldn't stop himself.
Blood and guts. Screaming and hysteria. This crashing bore, a Welsh ad designed to scare the crap out of drivers who text, runs for an agonising 4 minutes. That's not an ad, it's Apocalypse Now, the director's cut. This Aussie one, the Pinky ad, won Campaign of the Year but was pulled for being too mean to men. There are the creatively clever, like this one from Belgium, which won 8 Cannes Awards. The gently amusing. And the bloody gratuitous. But how do we know any of them have any impact? Is the target audience even watching? In New Zealand, funding for road safety ads is under review, which means audiences will get the old ones on high rotate. TV ads have gone from a polite reminder that you might get whiplash
It can't happen to me, but it does.
to overkill, and a message more likely to make you turn off than tune in.
Sarah Daniel there, and with that our show. You can find background information and links about tonight's topics on the Media 7 blog at tvnz.co.nz/Media7. So thanks and best wishes to Carol Hirshfeld, thanks to our science panel, Sir Peter Gluckman, Peter Griffin and Chris Barton, and to our Google Books panel, Martin Taylor, David Slack and Lindley Hood. And thanks to you for watching. We'll be back with Media 7 at the same time next week. Until then, goodbye.